Have you ever really stopped to think about what happens the second after you swallow your food? Well, it takes a dive into one of the most incredible and honestly, one of the most intense environments in your entire body. We're not just talking about some simple organ here. We are talking about a super sophisticated chemical factory that is running 24/7. So today, let's take a guided tour of the stomach.
And there it is, tucked right into the middle of all the action, surrounded by other huge players like the liver and intestines. Now, its location is no accident. It is perfectly positioned to grab food from the esophagus, work its incredible magic, and then pass on the results. It is, for all intents and purposes, the central processing unit of our entire digestive system. All right, so here's our game plan for the tour. We're going to start with the big picture, the chemical mixture. Then we'll cover the stomach's 4 main jobs. After that, we'll meet the glandular machinery, understand the nerves and hormones that act as the controllers, and we'll wrap up with the amazing science behind how stomach acid is actually made.
Okay, first stop, the chemical mixer. Let's go look at the big picture, how this whole factory is built.
So if you look at this cross-section, you can see the stomach isn't just some simple bag. Nope, it's divided into different zones, like the main body and the fundus up top. But what's truly wild are these muscle layers. You've got longitudinal, circular, and oblique muscles. They all work in 3 different directions to physically churn, crush, and pulverize everything. It's all about making sure every single particle gets hit with the stomach's chemical cocktail. So we've seen the factory floor. Now, what about its mission statement? What are the stomach's really big jobs? Here it is, the stomach's official resume, if you will. First, it's a mixer, blending everything into this soupy paste called chyme. Second, it's a reservoir, which is so important. It holds onto that chyme and releases it nice and slow to the small intestine. And finally, get this, it's a double secretor. It secretes powerful juice into the stomach to digest food, but it also secretes the hormone gastrin into the bloodstream to send messages out to the rest of the body. Pretty cool, right?
So how does the stomach actually brew up all that juice? Well, to figure that out, we've got to go inside the factory and get a look at the glandular machinery.
And that is the key question, isn't it? It's not like there's just one big faucet pouring acid in. The production is happening on a microscopic level, all across the entire inner surface of the stomach, inside millions and millions of tiny, highly specialized structures. The body has a whole toolkit of gland designs it can use for making secretions. They can be as simple as single cells or as complicated as the pancreas. The stomach is smart. It mostly uses a combination of these pits and tubular glands that dig way down into its lining, creating millions of tiny sheltered production lines. And this slide just shows that concept perfectly. On the left, you see a simple tubular gland. It kind of looks like a test tube, lined with cells, right? But on the right, you can see how they get deeper, forming these pits or crypts. This is an absolutely brilliant design because it massively increases the surface area for production, and it also protects the brand new, delicate cells growing at the bottom from that harsh acid at the top. Okay, so to keep it simple, we're going to focus on the 2 major players in the stomach wall. You've got the oxyntic glands. Those are the main producers of acid and enzymes, and then you have the pyloric glands, which are more focused on making mucus and that really important hormone, gastrin. Now, a factory this advanced and, let's be honest, this dangerous can't just run on its own. It needs a management team. So let's meet the 2 bosses that control everything, nerves and hormones. Think of it this way. The neurocontrol, that's like a direct phone line to a specific machine. Your stomach stretches, a nerve fires, and boom, it immediately tells a nearby gland to start secreting. It's super fast and targeted. Hormonal control is more like sending out a company-wide memo. A hormone like gastrin gets released into the bloodstream, and it travels everywhere, telling all the relevant glands, hey, ramp up production. It's a bit slower, but it has a much broader effect.
And this diagram just visualizes it perfectly. Over on the left, you see that hormonal broadcast, molecules just sent out into the blood to find their targets. Then, way over on the right, you've got the direct nerve signal, that targeted one-to-one connection. The stomach is a master at using both of these systems to manage its crazy chemical environment.
All right, finally, let's see how this factory creates its star product. We're going to look at the making of the incredibly potent stomach acid. So inside those oxyntic glands we were talking about, you find this team of highly specialized worker cells. You've got mucus cells that make a protective slimy coating, peptic cells that make a powerful protein-digesting enzyme, and then you've got the real stars of the show, the parietal cells. These guys are the ones that actually make the acid.
I mean, it is truly incredible to think about. One of the most acidic substances your body makes is manufactured inside these millions and millions of individual microscopic cells. The parietal cell is a tiny, perfect acid-producing powerhouse.
So how does this little reactor do it? It's actually surprisingly elegant. The cell just grabs some carbon dioxide from your blood and combines it with water. That mixture immediately splits apart, leaving a spare hydrogen ion. That's it. That's the H in HCl, the very essence of acid. The cell then uses a special pump to shoot this hydrogen ion out into the stomach, where it meets up with a chloride ion to form hydrochloric acid.
And all of this brings us to the final and most fascinating paradox of the stomach. We've just seen how it creates this unbelievably corrosive acid, an acid powerful enough to dissolve metal. So the ultimate question has to be, with all this destructive power being unleashed, how on earth does the stomach protect itself from being dissolved from the inside out? Well, that's a story for another time.